The following program is suitable for all audiences.
Let's let this hard work pay off. Let's cut it loose, ball out, let's put a lot of freaking points up on the board. Let's go. Every day we improve, right? Yep. Reset, job not done. Yes, sir. Play by play, next play mentality. Love you, bro.
I want you to take a second and think about everything every one of you gave up to be in this position right here. I don't care what you did, you had to give something else to have this opportunity. So take advantage of it tonight. Play ball like you love it. Here we go.
Come on, boy, let's beat up, man. Get it.
Like we talked about earlier this week, it's the opportunity for us to stack this game. Let's go ahead and execute and be the playmakers out there. Let's go. Playmakers on three. 1, 2, 3. Playmakers. Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you right now for greatness. Yes, sir. You got me? Yes, sir. You take this thing over right now. Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Trubisky throwing left side of the end zone. Catch is made. Touchdown Bears.
Attaboy! Attaboy! Great job.
Snap. Trubisky throws the slant right. Robinson's in the end zone. Touchdown. A well-executed drive puts the Bears in front.
Come on, boy. Good job. Zero. Got a run, bro.
Bearlissimo.
Welcome to Bearlissimo, the George Bayliss Show. My name is Aldo Gandia. I am playing Ryan Pace today. Yes, I am playing the Bears general manager. George is going to explain it all in just a few seconds, but since I'm playing Ryan Pace, I got to begin by saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I've screwed this team up. I am really, really sorry. George, take it away.
No one likes a whiner. I'm sorry, Ryan. No one likes a whiner. Joining us today on this afternoon he's a regular of the Bears Bar Room, and he certainly needs no introduction whatsoever as the best Chicago Bears fan on the NFL Network. He needs no introduction, but he's getting one anyway. He was certainly the quickest out there with the trade talk. Chris Godwin is going to get more from Tom Brady, and certainly appears to have, because Tom Brady's been assigned 12 and Chris Godwin moving to 14. So he's got more than Bill O'Brien got for DeAndre Hopkins. He's the author of analogies, the captain of the caption, the hero of the headlines, the indomitable, the incomparable, the one and only Adam Rank. Welcome, Adam.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that introduction, especially after I big leagued you guys last week. The fact that you would be so nice to not only offer me a spot to return, but giving me a glowing introduction. That says a lot for your character, and probably more than I would have done.
Well, the Bears need a chance of redemption, and I don't see why Guest shouldn't as well for ditching us for Cameron Newton. But no, it's no big deal. It's all cool. Obviously, you've got a very serious job, so we don't mind you doing that. So obviously, today, the show, what we're going to do is go through a live mock draft. I am playing the role of Mike Sadowski, the director of collegiate recruitment for the Chicago Bears. We've got a visor-wearing Adam Rank, who is Matt Nagy. He's going to be choosing the position groups, and obviously we've got Ryan Herman Munster Pace, played by Aldo Gandia, the barkeep. We're using today the draftnetwork.com mock draft machine, and I don't know if you've already got a subscription, but I think everyone who's interested in draft, is as much of a draft nerd as I am, certainly, needs to get themselves a subscription for all of the content that you get on there. You can even make your own big board, as I have the Bearlissimo big board, which has got over 300 prospects on it that we're going to be using today for our picks when we get around to each pick. So we're using that as our live draft, and without any further ado, Aldo, I don't know if you can cue up your music. The 2020 NFL Draft is about to go live with the Cincinnati Bengals up with the first pick.
Yeah, and before we begin, Matt, you want to take off that dumb visor, please?
Well, first of all, I feel like I'm being typecast The bald guy, got to play Matt Nagy. Also, I'm wearing the Bears ball cap because I'm still my home office has a big window, so I got to make sure I don't get sunburned sitting indoors. So I did put on a ball cap. So I really do feel that Nagy wearing the visor at Miami 2 years ago cost us the Super Bowl. Because if we win that game, then we're home. We get a bye.
Yeah.
The week 2, the Rams come to Chicago or Dallas, either one of those. Would have beat them. Would have beat the Saints. Would have won the Super Bowl, maybe. Who knows? And it all stemmed from him wearing that visor. I don't care if he had sunblock on or whatever. It bothered me. I couldn't concentrate that day. It was all because of that visor.
I'm with you.
I think maybe someone covering the shallow drag on that slant route as well. That maybe had something to do with it.
Whatever. Because his head was getting sunburned. He couldn't think of it.
Definitely a heat stroke. I think we're safe to assume heat stroke. So we're going to go on the clock, Aldo. So I don't know if you got the music. We're going to go on. We're starting off the draft right now. And no surprise. Oh, there is a surprise. Chase Young goes number 1 overall.
What?
Yeah, I think I'm going to restart that one. It's really easy to do, so I'm just going to restart the mock draft, and we'll see if it comes out a bit more sensibly this time.
Good call.
Yeah, I can't see that.
You know what?
I can't see that happening. That would be stunning.
Can I say something though? Cynthia
sure.
Freeland, who's our analytics expert, has contended that it would be better for the Bengals to either just stick with Andy Dalton or get a quarterback later, but to take Chase Young because he's such a difference maker. So it's not going to happen, but it does. I understand the philosophy behind it,
me
but
too.
it's also the same thing of hey, the Browns still got a very good player with Myles Garrett, so it's not that big a deal that they passed on Patrick Mahomes. But no, you still got to go out and take the quarterback.
Yeah,
absolutely. You got to take the quarterback. I mean, Chase Young, as good as he is, you can scheme for one player on the edge. The rest of that defense is garbage as well. So they may as well go with the best player on the board, and that's what they've in fact done. They've gone with Joe Burrow. Chase Young goes second to the Redskins. Jeffrey Okudah has gone to the Detroit Lions, so they've gone cornerback early. Isaiah Simmons from Clemson goes to the Giants. Clavon Chason goes to the Finns, which is a bit surprising on their first pick. They haven't gone Tua. And they paid the mistake because on the very next pick, the Los Angeles Chargers picked Tua Tagovailoa. When we got to the Panthers, obviously losing their leader in the linebacker room, they've gone with Kenneth Murray. Tristan Wirfs goes to protect Kyler Murray to the Cardinals. Derek Brown joins the Jacksonville. Tristan Wirfs, the tackle out of Iowa, he's gone to the Cards.
He's perfect.
Yeah, he's a
perfect pick for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Derek Brown's gone to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Patrick Quinn goes to the Browns. Henry Ruggs 3 goes to the Jets, 1 pick before the Raiders, so I think the Raiders are going to be annoyed, but they've still got Jerry Jeudy on the board. They go Javon Kinlaw. Another cornerback goes off the board to the San Francisco 49ers, and that is C.J. Henderson. DeAndre Swift, the first running back off the board, goes to the Bucks. Mekhi Becton, offensive tackle, goes to the Broncos. And then we've got two cornerbacks off the board. We're going through quickly now. C.D. Lamb goes to the Patriots.
Oh, no.
Jerry Jeudy goes to the Dolphins with their second pick. 1 pick before the Bears, Justin Herbert goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not sure he's going to last the second round, but there we go. So going on to the big board, the Bears are now on the clock. And the top player on my board, Ryan, is and Matt, is Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. We've also got T. Higgins. We have a quarterback on the board. I repeat, we have a quarterback on the board. Jordan Love still has not been picked.
Jordan Love.
Sounds like we've got a Utah State quarterback, Jordan Love.
Why don't we just cut? Let's cut Mitch. Let's take Jordan Love. It's never going to happen. If this was the scenario, I don't know how this is happening. Listen, I'll be honest, we didn't have a first-round pick on Thursday night, so I went out and got wasted. Now I'm sitting here, and I'm wondering, wait, did I miss the pick where Jordan Love was not taken? I'm sorry, I don't mean to overtake this show.
Please do.
But
you are the head coach.
In all seriousness, let's cut Mitch tomorrow. We're going to start Foles, and Jordan Love is going to be the backup.
Wow.
Let's do it.
Where's my cap guy? Where's my cap guy? He's nodding his head, saying, giving me a thumbs up. So, Bearlissimo, what is?
We're gonna have a quarterback on a. I mean, it's a second year. It's a second day draft pick, so we're not going to get him for 5 years at that price.
Right.
But 4 years helps the Khalil Mack situation.
4 years and a tag. I mean, certainly the tag isn't that much different to the option price anyway, so it's only a couple of $1 million either way, isn't it? But Jordan Love, certainly, for me as the director of college scouting, if you could pick a QB to run the scheme that we have, it would be Jordan Love, and certainly more than enough arm strength in January to be able to cut the ball through the wind for the Bears. It also gives us a bit more time to clean up his footwork and his decision making, which is an area where he does need a bit more development, if we're being honest. But I can't think of a better situation than for him to be able to sit behind Foles in that quarterback room, and or potentially Trubisky as well, because with that sort of the cap room that it's going to cost, it doesn't even bear thinking about whether we can maybe get an offer for Mitch. We might be able to ship him later in the draft if you want. If we pick up Jordan Love, we can start seeing if we can get offers for Mitch, and that might net us, let's say optimistically, a 3rd round pick. But
okay.
Optimistically,
Ryan,
let's see what we can do.
Yes.
Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Ryan, it's not happening. Ryan, stop. Hey, let me tell you something too. Now, you might not remember this, but I was in Kansas City when we traded up to get Patrick Mahomes, and we had Alex Smith there. Now, Alex Smith was a great veteran quarterback, and you know what? If he was healthy right now, I wouldn't mind having him. But Nick Foles can be our Alex Smith, and he can play this season, and our team is going to be very competitive. We're going to win the division this year because the Packers are going to regress. That was a mirage at 13-3. The Vikings are not as good as people think. They're getting rid of their best players, and they're keeping Kirk Cousins, so they're not even going to start their best quarterback.
Choke.
We take Nick Foles. We're going to win the division, and we got Jordan Love, who will be our starter. Best case scenario, year 2. Let's go.
We have 30 seconds to get the pick in. So Jonathan Taylor, T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, Josh Uche, Austin Jackson, my 3rd ranked offensive tackle for left tackle, is still on the board. But Jordan Love obviously is the standout there in terms of value at the 2nd round pick. So Ryan, what are we doing?
All right, so let me make sure that I got this right. Adam Rank, who is playing Matt Nagy, wants a new quarterback. He wants Jordan Love.
And he sat there on the board.
George Bayliss, who is playing Mark Sadowski, head of college football scouting, wants who? Tell me who. Give me a name.
Well, my number 1 ranked running back is still on the board, which is Jonathan Taylor, and my number 3...
I swear to God, I'll quit tomorrow.
I think that tells us it's Jordan Love.
No. I mean, if I could get rid of Matt Nagy and pick up a number 1 running back.
Would you stop? Would you stop?
So your number 1 running back is still on the board. Anybody else that you're suggesting? Are those my 2 choices? Because the pick
if
is...
you want to throw it downfield, you got T. Higgins is still there. Laviska Shenault is still there. You have got Brandon Ayuk is still there.
You want to compound the Trubisky mistake by passing on Jordan Love here, too?
I think Jordan Love is great value there, but he's my number 4 overall QB.
My chips are all in on my head coach, so I've got to go with Jordan Love. We're going to have a crowded quarterback room because I am sure we're not going to get anything of value from Mitchell Trubisky in the trademark, though people will wait for us to drop him. So let's go ahead and press the trigger on Jordan Love, the quarterback.
The pick is in, and Jonathan Taylor went the very next pick to the Indianapolis Colts. Joshua Uche, edge from Michigan, went to the Bucks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has gone. Matt Buicki's gone. We are now back on the clock. Robert Hunt, offensive lineman out of Louisiana, LSU. it has gone as well. So what have we got on the board now? Okay, so top of my rankings is T. Higgins. You've got a lot of receivers. You have tackles on the board still who are great value. And we've got a really good set of cornerbacks as well available to us. So the two wide receivers we have to pick from is T. Higgins, sort of a straight down the field, inline deep threat, go up and get it kind of guy. Doesn't need to be a totally accurate throw. He's going to be able to get it wherever it's thrown and within his catch radius, which is humongous. He runs a 4.43 stroke 4.54 is what he ran on his pro day. You got Laviska Shenault, you got Brandon Ayuk. My number 3 offensive tackle, left tackle, is still on the board. Austin Jackson out of USC. I love him as a player.
Love him.
Great
Love
feet,
him.
great hips, great hands. He's a really good player. AJ Terrell, my number 3 overall cornerback, is still on the board. We've got Tega Winogo, left tackle out of Auburn. He's a dancing bear, very good for the outside zone running scheme that we have. Niang, we have some injury concerns about offensive tackle. For me, he's more of a right tackle anyway. And you've got probably the 3rd overall ranked receiver, safety, which is Antoine Winfield Jr. So you've got wide receivers, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, left tackle, Austin Jackson, or cornerback, or Tega Winogo if you want left tackle, or we got cornerback AJ Terrell.
Who do you like, Coach?
Very good long press corner.
Well, I really like Austin Jackson, and I think that one of the reasons why he's probably not getting discussed as much is because how far that USC program has fallen under Clay Helton. But when we went out and watched some of the tape, and you think of some of the great offensive linemen that have come out of USC over the years, to me, Austin Jackson will be mentioned in that group at some point. So I really like the value of the pick here. I like the player an awful lot. I don't mind going with T. Higgins or any player like that. But if I really want to shore up this offensive line, and if we get an opportunity to get a guy, and I know this kid named Bearlissimo, he does great work on the Draft Network, and I know that he has him at number 34 on his big board.
Ooh.
I'm looking at it. I would actually have him a little bit higher, but that's me. I know this kid, Adam Rank, who lives in Southern California, who loves him too, but I think that for the position and for the player, I think that this would be a home run for us.
Just to give a bit of extra colour to that as well, Austin Jackson spelled before the season last year, he was 3 months in quarantine to get ready to make sure he was infection free, to donate bone marrow from his thigh to his sister to save her life. So if you want someone who's willing to give it all for things that are important to him, he is that guy. He spent time away from the team. He made that time up. A lot of people will talk to you about the duel with Ebenezer. For me, you have to balance that with the fact that the only time Ebenezer won against him was on inside moves. He didn't never beat him around the edge, and we've got a pretty good tackle guard to put next to him if you want to move him. Obviously, Leno was a penalty machine last year. There is a potential Leno could move to swing tackle. You could even, if you wanted to, move Austin Jackson to the right-hand side, but for me, he would be a waste there. I would put him straight at left tackle day one, and I would move Leno if we're going to keep Leno, and obviously Massey can become a very overpriced swing tackle for me. But I absolutely sign off on Austin Jackson. Love the kid, great player.
Well, I do have a problem with the fact that his grandfather played 5 seasons with the Green Bay Packers, but I'm going to have to just hold my nose and go with you two gentlemen and say Austin Jackson, the tackle out of USC, is our guy. Excellent job.
The good news is Austin Jackson has already received his degree, unlike his grandfather, who obviously wasn't very well educated going to Green Bay. So the pick is in. It's Austin Jackson, offensive tackle, USC. So we've got Jordan Love and Austin Jackson. So some pretty good picks. So I'm just going to reel off. T. Higgins goes to the Texans. They replace a receiver. Antoine Winfield Jr. goes to the Vikings. That's interesting. So following in his in footsteps there. Damian Lewis, a good guard, goes to the Jets to presumably fade into insignificance. Bryson Hopkins, my man crush at tight end, goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacob Eason goes 79th overall. Jake from 81 overall. Antonio Gibson, a player I absolutely love, goes to the Bills. Hunter Bryant's just gone to the Raiders. Anthony Gordon is off the board. We've already got our QB. He goes to the Broncos. Albert Okwuegbunam goes to the Giants. Solomon Kinley goes to the Patriots. And we're into round 4 now. KJ Hill goes to the Detroit Lions. Matt Pert, another tackle, goes to the Falcons. Ben Barch, another tackle gone. Jack Driscoll gone. So there's a run on tackles now. And we've got some edge guys going off the board as well. Cole McDonald is now a Viking. Lamar Jackson, cornerback out of Nebraska, goes to the Packers. And we are now just about to go into the 5th round, and we're coming towards where the Bears are going to pick again.
While we're waiting for the 163rd pick to come up, I've got Adam Rank on the phone. Adam, how are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pretty eventful day. I don't know what's been going on in the Bears war room, but I do know that as a fan, watching that 2nd round unfold, and if you would have told me that we get Jordan Love and Austin Jackson, I would have slapped you in the face saying there is no way that could ever happen. It's unbelievable.
Well, you know what? I've been slapped in the face many other times before by a lot of Bears fans when I drafted Mitchell Trubisky and traded up one spot to get him.
Yeah, we're still not thrilled with that. You know what a fun little exercise I do, though? And this is kind of like, I don't know if you would consider this a coping mechanism or what have you, but I just go back and I pretend that the Bears drafted Eddie Jackson 3rd overall and took Mitch in the 4th round. Still not great.
That is clever.
But it makes me feel a little bit better about my life.
There you go.
That's a great way to look at it.
Adam, and I'll never forget the incredible rant you put up on videotape immediately after Mitchell Trubisky was drafted. That was an all-time classic on social media.
Turns out to be quite accurate as well.
Yes.
One thing that I remember people like really coming down on me for. Now, I was like, we could have had Jamal Adams, which of course would have meant we didn't get Eddie Jackson, which would have been, Jamal Adams is a great player. It's
Absolutely.
not like it would have been detrimental to our defense. So one guy that I did mention, I'm like, it wouldn't have been weird to take Christian McCaffrey. And people are like, oh, McCaffrey's not even going to make the NFL. That would have been a dumb pick. I'm like, I don't know, bro. He's turned out to be pretty good.
Pretty damn good. Absolutely.
Yeah, not bad. So we are on now. Just gone on the clock. Khalil Davis out of Nebraska has gone 2 picks before us. We're on the clock and just going onto the board. We do have a downfield threat. We've got an athletic linebacker there for us, Woody Gay Jr. out of Mississippi State. He's a bit of a headless chicken for me at this point. He doesn't read particularly well or work his way through traffic very well, but he's really fast at getting himself into bad positions. So that he's got that going for him. He's very athletic. He's very quick to run up blind alleys. We do have a downfield threat which piques my interest. Chase Claypool is still on the board out of Notre Dame. So he, to me, is the guy that, if you're looking at wide receivers, he's the guy that sort of stands out. If you're looking for an 11th tight end, Matt, and I know you love having tight ends in the room, we've got Stephen Sullivan out of LSU is top on my board that's still left. It is very thin now, what we have left at tight end. So we are down to sort of the Stephen Sullivan, Cheyenne O'Grady, Devin Asiasi, Jacob Breland, Joey Magnifico, Mitchell Wilcox, Jared Pinkney, and last of all, Dalton Keene out of Virginia Tech. Those are the tight ends that are left. Wide receivers, we have Chase Claypool, Benjamin Victor, Gabriel Davis out of UCF. But if you want a sort of a downfield big, because obviously he is big, really good effort blocker as well, Chase Claypool is by far
and away. One.
Let me ask you a quick question, head coach Matt Nagy, a.k.a. Adam Rank. How do you feel about the tight end room? Now we've got 10 guys. We've got Jimmy Graham. We just signed him as a free agent. We picked up Demetrius Harris, the tight end from the Kansas City Chiefs, whose forte is blocking. And we've got we've got Trey Burton still in the contract, of course. And then we've got all of these young guys. We've got Jesper Horsted, who showed us a little something last season. Do you think that we could perhaps bypass a tight end now and hope that we've got some youth in the room with Horsted and Dax Raymond and some of the other guys and rely on the veterans for this season? Or are you thinking otherwise? What do you think about that tight end room right now?
You know what, Ryan? I don't really mind what you do. I mean, I didn't really want Jimmy Graham, but that's fine. I kind of like the philosophy that you take where you go out and you find these veterans who can come in and hold the fort in case we don't land the guy that we want in the draft, which is cool. And so I'm looking at what we're doing. I think the tight end, I think we're okay. And I think the move that we made, bringing in Demetrius, I think that, again, it helps the blocking. We can run maybe some 2 tight end sets, maybe can show a little versatility there. But when I'm looking at the players available now, and I know this was mentioned a moment ago, when I watch Chase Claypool on the film, and I watch his downfield blocking, that is one thing that always stands out to me, especially with rookie receivers. I wouldn't imagine Chase is going to come in and catch 75 balls in his first season, but if he can come in and really contribute on special teams, and he can contribute as a blocker downfield, I think that could actually end up being a pretty good pick. Now, obviously, me being an offensive-minded coach, I keep seeding to the offensive side of the ball, and perhaps we should have more of a burner out there because we did not bring back Taylor Gabriel. But I think when I'm looking at Claypool, I think that the value where we're at right now, a Notre Dame product, which of course always does well with the local fans here, I think that's where my head is at, and I apologize once again for being so offensive-minded, but I think that's kind of where we need the most help.
So Ryan, just to confirm, I do have a 3rd round grade on him. He's 6'4", 238, and ran a 4.42.
Well, and let me ask you this, Adam, a.k.a. Matt Nagy. Bearlissimo just gave us a rundown also on Willie Gay Jr., the speedy linebacker. I'd love to add some more speed at that linebacker position and in the defense, on the defense. What are your thoughts on that player?
I like him. Athletic guy. Again, I think the defense, I'm not opposed to this too. I think this is one of the great things that the way you've set this team up is that we get an opportunity right now to just swing on a great player. And I think that if we wanted to try to get cute, I don't know if Chase is going to end up falling in this draft because, we've seen this before with wide receivers, especially, a senior out of Notre Dame who is going to end up falling a little bit. But listen, I'm not opposed to taking defensive players, even though I think that we have a lot of depth. We're kind of set up there. But I'm into it as well. So I'm going to leave that up to you.
So Coach Nagy,
I would prefer, yes.
Sorry, just to interrupt. If you're willing just to let him run linear routes down the field, he's the guy for you. If you want him to run technical routes like whips, post corners, things like that, his breaks are not going to be clean. His footwork is going to need cleaning up. But if you want him to be a DK Metcalf type route tree, he is going to go up and get it and beat guys deep. He is going to be a deep ball threat. Certainly on this team with Allen Robinson on the other side, he would be a deep ball threat for us in terms of that. In year one, while he's learning how to run the rest of the route tree, you can literally just run him all day down the field and have him block on the edge, and he's going to be able to contribute from day one potentially.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Oh no, what are we doing?
All right, well, this is a tough one. I'm amazed that Claypool really is available here in the 5th round. So I've got to go with Chase Claypool, and I hope you guys don't throw rocks at me. I know there's a lot of anti-Notre Dame fans that listen to this show, but Chase Claypool is a Chicago Bear.
Nice.
So
I know my good friend Adam Rank, his family is more Northwestern, but that's okay too. We'll still take it.
So the Lions have picked up James Morgan, quarterback out of Florida International. Obviously, he was on the Bears Barroom radio network with an interview with the Draft on Tap guys. He came across well in that interview. Just looking at the rest of the picks that are going between us in terms of Devin Duvernay goes to the Packers. That's going to be a problem for us in the future.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in terms of who we still got on the board, we're now at pick 196. We have a lot of... we still have Stephen Sullivan, tight end out of LSU, if you're interested. Got an offensive tackle, Charlie Heck. There's a lot of safeties still left on the board and a couple of cornerbacks. If you're after a quarterback... Well, obviously we've got quarterbacks, so we're okay there. Running backs, we have Joshua Kelly. He's a real burner. We have 2 shifty guys in Reggie Corbin out of Illinois and James Robinson out of Illinois State. He showed up well at the East-West Shrine game. And then we still have Collegiate Lipscomb on the board. Darius Anderson out of TCU if you want some return ability. He's a guy who could legit push Tariq Cohen for me. He's certainly as quick as Tariq, if not faster, and he offers a lot of return ability as well for us. So those are the guys that sort of stand out unless you're looking for a specific position coach. There is safety help there if we need safeties.
Who's your highest rated safety who's on the board right now? What about have you guys seen Terrell Burgess play?
Burgess has already gone. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, Burgess has already gone. We have Brian Cole out of Mississippi State. He's a real thumper. We've got Jalen Elliott out of Notre Dame. He can play certainly a half field cover and also be down in the box. If you want an interesting guy, Jared Maiden out of Alabama is still available. He's played 4 positions on that Bama defense and all of them very well. The Senior Bowl, he very nearly had a pick 6 covering a wide receiver. He gives you flexibility to cover out of the slot, come down in the box and be a hitter, and also he can play deep, like a deep half or even potentially one high. He's certainly got the range to be able to do that. He's a sort of 4'4" athletic kid out of Alabama, so he's been really well coached. But he's a little bit further down.
Why is he falling? Why is he not? How is he still there?
He lost in translation with Bama. He never sort of stuck at one spot, so he was moved around that defense and sort of didn't stick at one position. So I can only assume it's down to that. I see no other reason based upon his tape.
Is there any? Because I just feel like this is a perfect situation to fire in on a guy like that. Because I know we would still like to get a running back, but I'm curious as to what the secondary market for running back is going to be. Like, for instance, is Royce Freeman going to come available? Is there going to be a way that we can address that need somewhere down the line with some other pick, with somebody else, and then perhaps roll the dice on this Bama kid?
Yeah, I mean, we could certainly do that. Jordan Fuller is also still available out of Ohio State, but again, he's a little bit more. Jordan Fuller out of Ohio State. He's more of a box safety.
I will. That's a good player.
Well, and keep in mind, we've got another pick and 4 more selections, right? Because we've got 2 6-rounders, 196 and
200.
And 200, correct.
And we've got the Colts, Steelers, and Rams between us.
Colts, Steelers, and Rams. Anybody there going to pick up a running back? Perhaps not.
The Colts drafted Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, they took Taylor.
That's right. So I'm feeling good about going safety and then running back for 200.
100%. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Ryan.
Wow. So it's just a case.
AKA Aldo. I know you're.
I prefer Ryan, actually.
it's a case of what flavour you're after. Are you after a Jordan Fuller who's more of a thumper and a bit more of a coverage liability than a Brian Cole or a Jared Maiden?
Well, give me
I'm into Jared Maiden. I would go Jared Maiden if it was up to me, but I will defer to the college expert.
Bob?
All right, George, give me a name. I'm going to back you 100% on the name you present right now.
I'm going to say Jared Maiden because I think he gives us some flexibility to cover nickelback as well, play nickelback for us. He can come down in the box and be a blitzer, and he can cover deep if we need him to cover other positions. So he gives us more versatility.
I love it. The pick is in. Roger Goodell is asleep in the background, and whoever's at the podium has just announced the name for us.
No, we have somebody. There's like somebody from Portillo's who's making the pick by the 5th or 6th round. Like it's. So Roger Goodell's gone. He's home.
So between us, 2 tight ends and a tackle went, and that means that our top running back that's still on the board is still available. Joshua Kelly out of UCLA. Oh. He is a home run hitter wherever he gets the ball, and he is a great receiving back. Also gives some kick return ability as well.
Just for the sake of argument, what other running backs are there, just so that I can get Matt Nagy's opinion on them?
So Reggie Corbin out of Illinois, he's more of a sort of a shifty muscle hamster kind of guy. So Devonta Freeman are the best kind of end of it.
Yeah.
If you want, James Robinson is almost a clone of that, but at a much lower level at Illinois State. Darius Anderson is more of a shifty receiving back, but also can run quite well within tackles. But he does give some real juice on returns, Darius Anderson.
Who's the guy from... I loved Appalachian State's running back. I thought he was pretty good. What was his name?
I think he's long gone, to be honest.
Probably. All right, listen, I'm sorry. I don't have a draft board in front of me.
Yeah, he's long gone. Guys that are they're still available on the board a little bit later. If you want a bit more of a thumper, is Jermichael Hasty out of Baylor. He's a pretty good running back as well.
We're talking about Darrington Evans. Is that correct, Adam?
Oh yeah, that's him.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Joshua Kelly for me is the guy that we should be looking at here.
Any objections to that?
Not at all. I thought that, given the circumstance, and again, like UCLA is really down, and Chip Kelly has had to really kind of have to get his hands dirty and get rid of a lot of players, and a lot of things aren't panning out. We're not really seeing what Chip Kelly is going to be able to do yet, but I think that, Joshua Kelly was a little bit of an older guy. I think he ended up playing 5 years there, or he started off somewhere else, and I think he transferred to UCLA, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been a JUCO guy. But the times that I saw him, and it's tough and it's easy, I stay up late, or my friend Adam Rank stays up late to watch UCLA games here on the West Coast. He's a good player, like a decent player. I would not have any problems with him. I think that he can end up being a pretty nice player for us and get into that running back room and really make some noise for us. So I like the pick.
All right. Well, that was timely. And I've got to go with both of you guys. Joshua Kelly, I saw him down at the Senior Bowl. He opened my eyes a bit, had a good game down there. So, yeah, let's go with Mr. Kelly, the running back out of UCLA.
It looks like we've just annoyed the Vikings as well because they took a running back immediately behind us. Darius they've doubled down on running backs. They've also taken Darius Anderson, so they're obviously trying spray and pray at the position, see if they can get it fixed that way.
Yeah, they have Dalvin Cook, but
Yeah, he's
the injury-prone Dalvin Cook, although he had a fairly good season last year.
I think he had hurt pride when he played the Bears last year.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we move to the seventh round.
By the way, not to brag about anything, but I've never lost to the Vikings. Just throwing that out to the room.
Never.
How is that record against the Packers, Coach?
You know what? Let's not talk about that. We beat them to clinch the division 2 years ago, so I'm very pleased with that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for asking.
So position-wise, Coach, I mean, obviously we've got 2 picks left. We're at 2-2-6 and then 2-3-3. We have some corner. Obviously, we've got the picks that we've got so far. We've got a receiver, we've got a QB, got an offensive tackle, a safety, and a running back. I don't know whether you're looking, Coach, at linebacker and cornerback, but if you want me to, which positions you want me to run down, I'll just go through them and give you the rankings as I have them. AJ Green out of Oklahoma State, Levante Taylor out of Florida State, who was a 5-star recruit, has a lot of juice. He's a long corner for more of a press man kind of coverage. Tariq Castro-Fields out of Penn State, a little bit on the smaller size, but just a really good technician at cornerback. Did have some injury concerns though. Kendall Vilder obviously showed out at the Senior Bowl very, very well. And Dane Jackson out of Pittsburgh. Stanford Samuels is also still on the board out of Florida State if you're interested with that. Last one on my board that I've got there is Parnell Motley, who is more of a zone corner, more of a fit to sort of sit behind Kyle Fuller, that kind of mold. He's not quite the athlete that the other guys are. At linebacker, we have Tay Crowder out of Georgia, a backup there. It's quite thin, I've got to say, at linebacker now. We've got Mohamed Barry out of Nebraska. Utah linebackers normally pretty good. Francis Bernard out of Utah is not a bad linebacker. He's 6'1", 230. He actually started as a running back for them, but he's obviously got decent hands. He tends to understand blocking schemes, so he keys very well. Obviously, being a running back, he does key well on the run. Not sure as to whether he's going to be great in terms of coverage, though.
Coach Nagy, do you know any of these guys?
We are in the 7th.
Well, I just know from the Penn State. I thought that Penn State, in addition to Castro Fields, I think their other cornerback is pretty good as well. I don't remember Tariq being that undersized though. How do you feel about him? Because I don't know. I'm kind of I don't mind at this stage of the game if we're going with, pedigree guys from big schools, and we're, I know that it's better than going for unhurt. Like, if let's just say in 2017, remember I wasn't here. If instead of going for a small school tight end in the second round, that you had waited for a pedigree tight end from Iowa. I don't know, just throwing a name out there. I don't know, like George Kittle, for instance. That might have worked out better.
Some of us were shouting that out at Ryan, but he ignored us, I'm afraid. He went for Adam Shaheen.
I've got my headsets on. I'm not hearing a word you guys are saying, Nagy and Mark.
I only remember Daniel Jeremiah being like, no, this guy could be a good player. You're like, bro, don't try to sell me on an Ashland tight end in the second round. But we all know that no disrespect, Ryan, we all know that if you would have waited till the fifth round, you would have taken Jake Butt. So let's just be honest. It could have gone that way too. But I don't know. I like the cornerback position. I will go with the guy that you think is the best fit.
So
at the cornerback spot,
Tariq Castrofields is a technician for me. He's got great hands, great ability to mirror. He's got plenty enough speed. He's 6 foot and 200 pounds as well, so he's a decent size.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's a decent size. Levante Taylor, 5'10", 190. He can bite a little bit, but again, he's a real athlete at the position. Stanford Samuels 3 is, if you want a longer corner, he's 6'2", but he's a bit thin at 185. He does have he's able to stay on top of routes though, quite well.
All right, Mark, give me a name so I can submit it, because at this point I don't know any of these guys.
Tariq Castrofields out of Penn State, that's the guy I would go with.
Tariq?
Awesome, yeah.
All right, it is in. I am only 15 minutes away from happy hour here in Chicago, so let's move on to our final pick.
So Steven Sullivan.
It's already happy hour. What are you talking about?
Well,
it's always happy hour when I'm on with some of my heroes.
Oh, stop. The thing is, with everything that's going on, like it's like being in Vegas. Like the time means nothing, the day of the week means nothing. You're just going. Everything's appropriate at any hour of the day.
I'm with you.
So I've got some interesting names for you, Coach and Ryan.
Okay.
If you want a developmental tackle, Alex Taylor is there, former basketball player, longest arms and reach.
Yes.
At the Senior Bowl, really good feet actually. Obviously, the basketball background shows through. He's going to need some work in the weight room, but if you want someone to be able to play that zone scheme, he's plenty athletic enough. Certainly, he would become instantly the most athletic offensive lineman that we have out of all the ones we could go. He's still available and on the board. 6'9", so obviously it's a little bit longer than you would want a tackle ideally, but he's still there and available. That's a player I really like. We've got Stephen Sullivan is still there, so former wide receiver of LSU. He's still there at tight end if we want to add an 11th tight end to the roster. Levante Taylor is still there, cornerback. Other interesting names we got there is Joe Gaziano out of Northwestern, edge guy. He'd be more of a 3-4 end for us, but he shows some ability to hold up against the run and the pass well. And we've got Tremaine Ancrum, the tackle out of Clemson, 6'2", so he's probably going to have to move inside. And lastly but not least, we have an edge rusher still on the board. Mike Danner out of Michigan, and used to be in Central Michigan. So he presents a nice, interesting pick there. I've heard on Bears Barroom Network some guy called Shane Marsaw likes Mike Danner a lot. And looking at his tape that he's played only 1 year at Michigan, but he did well. He was actually lining up at some sort of 3-tech on the interior of their defensive line and held up pretty well against double teams as well. So he shows the ability to be able to set the edge, and he's got plenty of juice and athletic ability. So if you want a project on the edge, he's there, and it represents good value at this stage. So obviously some tackles, got some edge guys available to us, and we've got some tight ends if you want to add another one of those.
I like the juxtaposition of having Alex Taylor being this athletic, rangy guy that played at a small school, South Carolina State. Comparing him to, was it Tremaine Ankrum, who was the guy at Clemson who's coming off a team that we know is good, know that has been playing high-caliber football.
He's an excellent technician.
And, yeah, so I'm torn between that, and I also like the idea of an edge rusher. I mean, these are guys that hopefully, if they don't get picked, we can try to shine as undrafted free agents. But I'm going to go, listen, I want to lean on to you. I want to know which way you want to go. I feel like, with our cornerback, we took the technician, we took the pedigree guy. Should we have some fun? Should we go with the athletic project and see if it's one of those things where, 15 years from now we're doing a 30 for 30 and, it's a lot of film of Alex Taylor playing basketball and being like, well, nobody gave him much of a chance, and here he is. He developed into this all-world player. I don't know. I just want to go with the highest upside at this point. Well,
there is the potential that Mike Dana could be a priority free agent for us. There's also some priority free agent quarterback Kelly Bryant out of Missouri, transfer from Clemson. He's still on the board, had some injury concerns, but it seems to be over all of those. There's a lot of players there on the priority free agent list we could go for. We can hope that Mike Dana falls there. There are sort of 3 edge guys still left, depending upon what flavour you want. There's Tipagale, Joe Gaziano, and there's Dalen Hayes, who are all on the board ahead of Mike Dana. Mike Dana is the most athletic. He would fit us for me. I think he's 6'2" and 250, so he would fit the outside linebacker mold for us. But those tackles are tackle or the edge guy for me.
All right, so Coach Nagy wants Alex Taylor. Well, final thought on that prospect or anything that your college football scout just said?
I love everything that he said. I don't know. Which way do you want to... Again, I'm leaning towards offense because I think it's important to shore up that offensive side of the football.
All right. Well, here's what I've got to say. Is Alex Taylor has an 88-inch wingspan, which is what typically a man of the height of 7'4" tall has. Alex Taylor is my developmental tackle. Let's put him on the board.
And he is a bear.
He is a bear. Woo! All right, George, let's go over all these picks that you, our guest, Adam Rank, and I was going to call you Alex Rank for some reason.
If you be my bodyguard, I can be your long lost pal.
You said it was happy hour. With the 43rd pick, we've got Jordan Love with the 50th pick. Austin Jackson with the 163rd pick. It's Chase Claypool. 176 is Jared Maven. 200, Joshua Kelly. 226, Tariq Castro. And 233, Alex Taylor. You guys did a great job.
I'm pretty happy with that draft, Coach.
Yeah, I would be thrilled with that. I think that, it's interesting to imagine a world where Jordan Love would fall, but you never know. Sometimes the scouts and the people on television love quarterbacks more than the guys in the room making the decision. I thought that maybe 4th round we'd be looking at Jalen Hurts or somebody like that, but if Jordan Love is there in the 2nd, obviously you got to make that move, and Austin Jackson's huge, and I thought that we've done a nice job of addressing some of the positions, and I feel really good about this draft, and I feel good about this team moving into 2020.
And
likewise, Adam. I think we've got a real opportunity. It all for me is going to hinge on fixing the offensive line and Nagy calling a sympathetic scheme to what the offense can run. That's going to be the actual measure of whether how far we're going to go and what we're going to do. He can't try and force it and can't just try and call plays for the sake of them. He's got to run what we can run and set up schemes that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's the way to go. And I think that, last year you would see, like the game against the Rams where they tried to run the option with Mitch. He's not, no, don't. He's apprehensive with his shoulder already. He doesn't want to run the football. Don't run those plays. And I think that if you can just, simplify it, or else if Nick Foles comes in and proves that he can run the offense like he thinks he can run it, then I would just go out and do that.
But we've certainly got two of the most athletic guys that you could possibly get at the wide receiver and running back position in that draft, and we've got some really good potential starter at left tackle for the next 10 plus years, and a quarterback that obviously that you love, and a project at offensive tackle that could also be a starter for a long time on the right side of the offensive line in Alex Taylor. So I feel really good about that draft. And in terms of the Bears going forward, Adam, obviously we weren't that far away from being a 10-win team. As bad as everything was, as bad as Mitch was and all the rest of it, the offense, the offensive line, blocking woes, all the rest of that, we were 2 or 3 plays away from being a 10-win team last year and going into the playoffs again. So if Coach Castillo can fix it, I think we could go all the way.
That's the one thing that people fail to realize. If Matt made a mistake not trying to get further down the field to help out Eddie P make that field goal against the Chargers, and if they could have just, and if Akeem Hicks doesn't get hurt, or if they could just hang on to win that game in London and go into the break at 4-1. The season's different. Now, obviously, the Vikings fans will be like, well, we would have tried hard in Week 17. It's like, bro, you still have Kirk Cousins. You would have choked. Like, don't act like, don't try to get hard with me. Like, no. It's not, that's not happening. So listen, I think they're a lot closer, and if people want to clown them, like, fine. Honestly, like, a lot of them, like, I don't love the Jimmy Graham move, but I think that Pace actually has the right attitude of building a team, like adding pieces to a team that he already thinks is pretty good, as opposed to like, we need to get rid of and make wholesale changes and try to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Because I still believe that there's going to be a secondary market for stuff, and I think that we can address a lot of needs that way as well. So I'm stoked for it.
Hey, I'm sorry, Adam. Greg Braggs in the chat room says that you are great at role playing. So
thank you.
The obvious question is, what other role playing do you do?
This could get weird.
Would you stop? That's going to take a turn that I don't want to take.
Okay.
I'm a trained thespian, so it's not. Listen, I know what I'm doing.
All right, I got to ask you a fantasy football question before we let you go. Right?
All right, please hit me.
I've got the 3rd pick in the NFL draft, my fantasy football draft for this upcoming season. Can you give me kind of an idea on who I should be looking at, who is potentially going to be the 1st and 2nd pick, and who I'm going to be faced with having to make a choice on?
I'm pretty confident that McCaffrey and Barkley will be the first 2 guys off the board. And if I'm sitting at number 3, I would take the player that I want anyways. Because what you need to remember is that when you're drafting your football team, don't pick last year's best team. Try to look forward and see who's going to be the best. So for me, the guy that I would want at number 3 is I'm going to take Nick Chubb. I think with Stefanski going over to that team, they brought in Austin Hooper, so they're going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. We saw it last year. Nobody in the NFL ran 2 tight end sets more than Kevin Stefanski and the Minnesota Vikings. An underrated move they also made was trading for Andy Yanovich out of the Denver Broncos, their fullback, which just leads me to believe they want to run the football. And I think that the first couple of weeks with that offense, with Baker Mayfield, who I look at as a bounce-back candidate, I look for them to run similar to the way that the first couple of weeks were for the Minnesota Vikings, where they were running the ball like almost exclusively. And that it's going to be a huge opportunity for him. And honestly, Odell Beckham Jr. to me, I'm a huge fan of his, and I think that he's an underrated blocking receiver, kind of like we were talking about Chase Claypool. Like sometimes you don't get that. I remember there were times last year, and I even pointed this out, and I know that I'm going long with this answer, and you're like, geez, guy, wrap it up. But
no, we love it.
There were times where you would watch OBJ, and everybody acts like he's a malcontent and everything, and I'm like, that team was dog poo, and they weren't winning games, and he was still downfield blocking him and Jarvis Landry. So I think that with quality coaching, getting everything organized, getting a coach that's going to run the ball, they got a fullback, they got 2 tight ends, Nick Chubb is the guy that I would want at number 3.
Excellent. Now, let me ask you about Lamar Jackson, because Tooch in the chat room has been singing his praises. Lamar Jackson, where do you have him going?
Yeah, I think Lamar Jackson along with Patrick Mahomes, will be the top 2 quarterbacks off the board. What's going to be interesting to me is what's going to happen with Kyler Murray, because I think a lot of people will look at the situation that Kyler Murray's in and say, well, I want to make sure that I cash in on this season's Lamar Jackson, and I want to take the quarterback, which will probably end up raising his value or his ADP, his draft position a little bit. And it might be difficult to kind of sneak in there and steal him or anything. So I love Lamar. I think he's going to go off the board way too early for me. Love Mahomes. He's going to go off the board way too early. Kyler Murray's going to go off the board too early. I like Baker Mayfield as a little bit of a bounce back, kind of have a similar season to what Kirk Cousins did last year. Looking at Josh Allen, having Stephon Diggs now, that is a quarterback that I am targeting. If I miss out on one of those early guys, then I'm going to try to focus in on Josh Allen. And if I miss out on Josh Allen, then I probably will try to get Baker Mayfield because I'm excited about him this season.
So who's going to get the most yards this year on the Bears? Demetrius Harris or Jimmy Graham?
Ooh.
I think yardage. You know what? Like, I think that Jimmy Graham could have a sneakily good season, as far as catching touchdowns and stuff.
Yes.
Like, he's still, I don't know. I'm trying to go back to it with an open mind because I know all the Packer fans were like talking, like the way they talk, but they're just so stupidly spoiled. Like, why? I don't know why they always think that their team is so good and that they didn't have, like, Jimmy Graham was still one of their best tight ends that they've had since Jermichael Finley back in 2012. Like, they never hit on a tight end, and at some point, you're like, hey, man, like, the quarterback hasn't changed. It's your, I don't know. Like, I don't know who, like, you could probably have Travis Kelce and Aaron Rodgers is still going to hold on to the ball too long and not find him.
Yes, I agree.
It's exactly the analysis we did on it last week about the tight end room and the Packers.
Exactly. Adam, you've been...
I mean, honestly... They've got a lot to choose from. And at some point, I know it's one of those things where they're trying to find something that sticks. And so I'm there for it. I don't mind it. Hopefully one of those guys pans out.
I think the conference call, I don't know if you heard it with Jimmy Graham last week, the conference call, he was talking an awful lot about being split out wide again in that conference call. Mm-hmm. A lot of his answers were talking about being split wide and seeing every target in the last 2 years that the Bears have had. And if you look at Trey Burton and sort of his targets, there was a lot of times down the centre of the field he was open. There's nobody better in the NFL at that other than the two that you've already mentioned for me, which is Kittle and Kelce. There's nobody better at that sort of seam, being able to spot where the zones are and being able to sit in the right place than Jimmy Graham. He still has enough juice if he's still up to be able to either physically box people out or to be able to use his running nuance. And I think the fact that he's a converted basketball player playing the tight end position, I think that only helps Demetrius Harris, a former basketball player. Another guy that we picked up very early in the season, former USC basketball player, Darian Clark, who's converting to position. And he's a sort of a 4.5, 6'7" guy as well. So I think he's going to help out in that tight end's room. Maybe takes a bit of pressure off Trey Burton.
Yeah, I hope so.
Absolutely. Hey, Adam, tell us where people can find you on social media and plug whatever you want to plug. And we can't wait for you to come back to Chicago and do one of your comedy shows. We will be there en masse. Go ahead and let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Adam Rank, Instagram, which is like my new favorite thing. That's at Adam Rank NFL. And you know what? With all these travel restrictions and everything, I don't think that hopefully I can sneak out there again this off season, but if not, hopefully we'll be back on the NFL Network real soon, and you'll be able to catch me there. But I want to thank you guys so much for having me on.
Adam, it's been my pleasure. It's been something I've wanted to do for a long time, but thank you very much for coming on. How long until we see you on TikTok dancing?
I do have a TikTok account, but we're still trying to figure out the strategy. So I just don't want to, roll in there all willy-nilly. So I'll be on there soon.
Well, when you're on there, then I'm finally going to subscribe to TikTok because I don't want to miss that.
There it is.
Take care, my friend.
Thanks, Adam. You're great. Cheers.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's do it again soon.
You got it. All right, George, let's wrap up with your final thoughts. I thought you guys did a great job. I can't wait to put the video together with clips of your sound with Adam going over the draft picks. I'll have that up either tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. And go ahead and close out your show. Great job.
Yeah, so I did a mock draft earlier that I sent to you, Aldo, that I'm going to be putting out, which is my official Bears Barroom mock draft version 1. So I'll just run through the picks on that quickly.
Please.
I actually picked up at 43. I picked Jonathan Taylor, the running back out of Wisconsin. And then I went with T. Higgins at wide receiver at 50. I went with Jack Driscoll, right tackle out of Auburn at 163. I picked up a Project QB in Cole McDonald out of Hawaii. Mark Schofield has done an excellent scouting job on him, showing how quickly he learns. I picked up, yet another tight end, Stephen Sullivan out of LSU for us to put in and to get on that field. Tanner Muse, safety out of Clemson. Tariq Castro-Fields was also a pick of mine in the 7th round. So not too dissimilar in terms of positions that we picked up to what we did in the mock draft today. It's been a pleasure of mine to have Adam Rankon with us today. And obviously with the coronavirus and things like that still going on, be sensible, be responsible for each other. Keep practicing social distancing until it's clear and it's safe and we've got some sort of cure or it's gone away. Take care of each other. Please look out for people who are less fortunate and more vulnerable than you are. And let's all take care of each other as a community. And with that, bear down. Take care.